Hello and welcome back to Animal Fantastique. Today we have our first creature feature, so stay tuned and we'll meet our first guest shortly. I'm Savannah Bowers, and today I'm joined here by Xena, who's a prickly gecko. The prickly gecko, also known as the Binos gecko, is a small terrestrial lizard species native to Australia. These guys are found in almost all parts of Australia and can live in a variety of different habitats ranging from deserts to grasslands to even forested areas. Because of this, they're one of the most common reptiles found throughout Australia. As you can see, they are fairly small and only reach about 4 inches full grown from the tip of the tail to their nose. Their color can also vary from a dark brown to a reddish orange depending on the color of ground they live on. They also can have spots, stripes, or a mixture of both to help them blend into their environment. One thing that really sets the prickly gecko apart from others is that they are one of only a few vertebrate species in the world that are parthenogenic. So what that means is they can reproduce asexually. So they can have a baby without the presence of another gecko of the opposite sex. With that being said, all prickly geckos are female and are capable of producing a viable egg with an embryo inside of it. When that baby hatches out, it will be an exact genetic clone of the parent. So if I've caught your attention and you're interested in this amazing creature and thinking about keeping one as a pet, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up an enclosure to keep it happy and healthy and make sure that it's the right pet for you. Alright, in front of me I have everything you guys are going to need in order to set up a prickly gecko tank. So I have a 5-gallon tank here, which is the minimum size tank that I would suggest for one prickly gecko at an adult size. Now prickly geckos are also communal, so if you plan on having 2 or 3 together, I'd maybe recommend going up to a 10-gallon tank to give them the proper space needed. In this case I just have Xena here, and so I'm going to use a 5-gallon tank. Also, they are a terrestrial species, meaning that they're going to utilize the floor space rather than the walls or the up and down space. And that's why I have a low profile tank, because she won't utilize any of the taller space. The prickly gecko is a reptile, meaning that it's cold-blooded. So what that is that it must rely on external elements for heat in its environment. Because of that, you want to have a warm side and a cool side to your tank. That way, if he's cold, they can go ahead and go over onto the warm side, and if she's too warm, she can go onto the cooler side. In order to regulate that temperature, I will use a heat mat that I place on the side of the tank. Now you can put that on the side of the tank or underneath the tank. Either would work, or if you wanted, you could use a low wattage heat bulb on top of the tank. So you'll want that temperature on the warm side to be between 85 and 90 degrees. Then the cool side can be your ambient room temperature, ideally between 72 and 77 degrees. So with this heat mat, I like to hook it up to a thermostat. And so I have one down here, and I like to set it to between 85 and 90 degrees. That way it's regulating the temperature coming out of this heat mat to make sure it's not too hot or too cold. That's really important so that your reptile stays exactly at the temperature it needs to. So I like to use sand for the substrate for the prickly gecko. The reason being, they are a desert-dwelling species and prefer arid climates. With that being said, the humidity should ideally be kept between 30 and 40%. So you won't want to use any sort of substrate that holds too much humidity. So that's why I like sand. It seems to hold the humidity low enough that is healthy for the gecko. Now, I wouldn't recommend using sand for all reptiles because it can cause problems of impaction with some if it's accidentally digested. However, with the prickly gecko, I don't seem to find that as the case and know many breeders who use sand successfully for these guys. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of the sand into this terrarium. Put that down there. I like to add at least an inch worth of substrate into here, usually an inch or 2, and that's because these guys do dig a little bit and they'll have shallow burrows in there. So I like to make sure there's enough room for them to do some of that natural digging behavior.
A little bit.
So we're going to smooth that out. Okay, once I have the sand in there, then I'm gonna go ahead and put a water dish in there for her. So I like to use a nice shallow water dish with some means of them being able to get out. Just because they are such a small species, I don't want her to be able to get stuck in her water dish. If you do have an even smaller gecko, I'd recommend maybe using like a jam cap or a little water bottle cap with some rocks in it, just to make sure it's shallow enough. So I'm actually gonna put that on the non-heat side so it doesn't dry up as quickly. I'm gonna bury that right into there. Perfect. She can get up into there easily if she needs some water. All right, next I'm gonna add some decorations and some places for her to hide so she'll feel nice and secure in her environment. So I'm gonna put a piece of grapevine in here in the middle. That way, nice thing is there's a little opening in this piece, and so she can go hide in there. And I'm also gonna put some of these rocks in here as well for her to sit on top or go behind or underneath. Then I'm gonna add some of these fake plants in there as well, just to make it feel a bit more natural and give her some coverage to hide in. Perfect, and there we have it. There's the proper environment for prickly gecko. So I've got the sand, a shallow water dish, some places for her to hide in and feel safe, as well as the heat mat and a thermostat. Now also here I do have some Reptivitamin as well as some calcium. When I do go to feed her, I feed her small insects because she is an insectivore. So with that, twice a week, I'll sprinkle these on her food to make sure she gets the right vitamins and minerals that she needs. So once a week, I'll dust the calcium powder on her food, and then another time, once in the week, I'll give her the Reptivitamin. So most commonly, I give her small pin-headed crickets, or I'll also give her small dubia roaches on occasion, or every once in a while, a small mealworm as well for a treat. I do feed her daily. And they are nocturnal, so usually at night is when she'll be up and looking around for her food. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Miss Xena in her nice new enclosure and see how she likes it. Oh, there she is. All right, so there she is checking out her new environment. And as you can see, the prickly gecko is a fairly easy species to care for and doesn't take up a lot of room. With that being said, they do take a little bit of time and maintenance every single day, and if you're looking for a pet that you can handle regularly, I might suggest getting something else. The prickly gecko might not be the pet for you, and you might want to look into, say, a leopard gecko, which we will cover in a different video. The prickly gecko is fairly sensitive and skittish, so because of that, I would recommend keeping handling to a minimum if possible with these guys. Now, they are unique and fun to watch, and so I do personally absolutely love having a prickly gecko, but she's more of an observational pet for me. So as you can see, the prickly gecko is one fantastic animal, and I hope you guys learned a lot about her today and geckos in general. So make sure you stay tuned for future content, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe for more fun animal-related videos. As always, we'll see you very soon.